Welcome to Unity Spiritual Center of Pflugerville. I'd love to have all of you here in person today and joining us on Facebook. Reverend Robert and Madeline are taking a well-deserved vacation. They are out to sea, and so we hope that they're just having a wonderful time. And we're grateful for the opportunity to be here this morning. My name is Val Cary. I am one of your prayer chaplains. I'm a past board president, and I'm on the path to be a licensed Unity teacher. So I appreciate the opportunity to be here with you this morning. So you know I have this new thing going on called braces. And so I'm still getting used to this new thing called braces. And so if I say something that you don't understand, just let me know. My feelings won't be hurt. I have very thick skin, so it's just a new experience, one of the things that we get to do on this planet Earth. So this morning I'm talking about Eye of the Storm, which is a book by Reverend Gary Simmons. And that is I as the individual I, not I as the body part. His book explains principles of embracing conflict and creating peace in our lives. And adding to that peace is also harmony. Harmony with ourselves and harmony with others. So starting next Sunday, we're going to be doing a book study at 9 a.m. here and on Zoom on the book. So you're welcome to join us if you find this information useful and if you want to dig in a little bit deeper. Have you ever wondered why you are here on planet Earth and what the purpose of your life is? Mm-hmm. So I'm going to read you from the foreword of Eye of the Storm from John Babb, who is the author of Divine Hotline, a little story. And I am going to actually read this from my note cards because I want to do it justice. It's a great little tale. Imagine the time before your birth. You were wandering the heavens as a disincarnate soul, immersed in the beauty and harmony in paradise. There was a call for volunteers to inhabit a small blue planet that was in crisis. A call for souls willing to incarnate a human body in Earth's time of need. As part of this agreement, you met with an incarnation committee to decide the part you wanted to play and the work that you wanted to do. Not only were you required to serve, you were also required to grow. For maximum learning potential for your soul, you had to decide what sets of gifts, talents, and abilities that you wished to bring. What dreams and aspirations would lead you to your earthly destiny. You chose a date of birth, determining the astrological configuration to give you clues to your soul's earthly purpose and destiny. You chose a climatic zone and a region to reside. You chose a race and ethnicity to best express yourself. A socio-economic class to provide you with the challenges and benefits that you need in order to serve and learn. You chose a gender with all its opportunities and challenges. You chose a particular set of parents that would provide you with their particular strengths and qualities that you could draw upon, and with a designated set of difficulties that you would experience with them in order to learn, grow, and prepare you for the service that you would perform on earth. You selected your siblings and your relationships with them in age, plus the companionship and conflicts with them that would provide you with these important lessons and resources. And finally, you chose a name. Once these decisions were made, you were free to incarnate and begin your earthly mission, forgetting all that went on before. But with time, you would slowly but surely begin to rediscover why you were here and how wisely you chose, because every factor in your life has perfectly positioned you for the service that you are to perform and has maximized your potential for learning and growing. So it's an interesting tale, right? Every culture has their creation story. And everybody wonders, why are we here? What is my purpose? Two important things that the tale captures is that we are here to serve and that we are here to grow. Now, in that story, we also see, and we heard clues about, there will be challenges. And those challenges help us to learn how to serve. And they help us to learn how to grow. And as we know, life can sometimes seem messy. In this, we understand that the key to living a life of love, harmony, and abundance, as taught in the Eye of the Storm, is to learn that there's no one and nothing against us. The universe is totally for us. There's only one power and one presence that works in us and that lives in us as a Spirit of God. In the book, Reverend Simmons talks about conflicts in life. And conflicts in life are opportunities to grow and to learn. They're often about our own resistance. They're often about our own limited beliefs. They're often about our own insecurities and fears. Let's talk a little bit for a minute about fear. We know that present fears oftentimes are rooted in past issues. Fears are not connected to our sense of wholeness and worth. And when we are in fear, we are not seeing God in the situation. And unless there's actually a real physical imminent threat, defensiveness only results in a sense of separation. And oftentimes when we're afraid, we become defensive. When we think about conflicts and why conflicts arise, oftentimes they arise from gaps in awareness. And Reverend Tess has talked about this in the past. Gaps in awareness occur when our perception is incomplete. And Reverend Tess has talked about we don't know what we don't know. That's a direct result from a gap in awareness. We don't know what's happening, we don't know what's going on, we don't understand the situation. Oftentimes, when that happens, we compensate for missing pieces. And we do that from our beliefs, our thoughts, and our impressions. And sometimes we fill those gaps in perceptions with our own worst fears. And sometimes we push those fears onto others. Sometimes conflicts arise from a missing inner resource. Now, we all have within us, we are all children of God. We all have all of these magnificent capabilities and qualities, but sometimes we're not connected. Inner resources are attributes of wholeness and worth. They must be cultivated. Some examples of an inner resource are feelings of safety and security, a sense of innate value or worth, a sense of abundance, and also an experience of self-love. Now, examples of how these underdeveloped inner resources might manifest are when we're not able to love fully, when we're not able to respond kindly, when we have a lack of patience, or when we have a lack of trust. So the opportunity here is to think about, in times of conflict, what inner resources do we need to be able to cultivate to be able to respond kindly, to be able to love fully, to be able to trust. How do we relate to experiences? It's really, really important. Are we reacting? Are we being loving? Do we relate to blame, accusation by protecting ourselves? Is our automatic response determined by the need to be safe and feel okay? Is a person really against us? Or is the information that's being provided really useful for us? Strong inner resources allow us to consider instead of react. When we consider competing needs, wants, and values, combined with misperception, defensiveness, and the need to be right, these are opportunities to move into understanding rather than moving into conflict. Your response is critical. Do you need to correct the situation? Maybe you need to make amends. Or should you stand by your actions and take responsibility? Know that by making someone wrong oftentimes damages the relationship and contributes to the conflict. So in Night of Storm, Reverend Simmons talks about 4 winds of conflict. The first wind is a sense of separation. Most of us are not taught that we are children of God from our early childhood. If you did, you were really lucky. You were born into a really great family. Just through regular happenstance, with encounters with our family, with teachers, with other people, sometimes we experienced lack of love. We experienced a sense of separation. We learned to control others, to resist change, and had a need to be right in order to feel safe and secure. We need others to be a certain way in order to feel okay with ourselves. We are highly vested in outcomes, and we place the burden of our well-being on the performance of others. Knowing that our parents weren't perfect, knowing that they did the best that they did, we kind of all experience this in some way or other, in a certain degree or other. This requires us to remember that we are not separate, and those ways of managing our lives, especially in conflict, are not helpful. The second wind of change is misperception. Sometimes we're not able to accurately read the situation. Again, this is that we don't know what we don't know. We have gaps in awareness, beliefs, mental boundaries. Those mental boundaries can be conscious or unconscious. You know, how are we trying to protect our heart? How are we trying to be safe and secure? Sometimes this is outside of our knowing and just an automatic response. This results in feelings of usefulness, unusefulness, unsafeness, and confusion. So this requires a shift in viewing, asking questions, tell me more, help me to understand what is going on and what is happening. The third wind of conflict is when there are competing needs, goals, and values. When what we want gets in the way of what somebody else wants or what they need. This can result in defensiveness, again, the need to be right, again, the loss of trust or love. And this requires open and clear channels of communication. Again, tell me more. I don't understand this. Help me to understand what you mean. Listening. Listening is a key. Being willing to be open, being willing to ask questions, continuing to stay with it until you both are at a place of where you're good. The fourth wind of conflict is defensiveness. Defensiveness is a psychophysical dynamic that impacts the relationship directly. It's a physical reaction by the entire body. Your muscles stiffen, It allows your reflexes to cue in response to what your body perceives as impending danger. It produces an energy field that can be sensed by others and oftentimes results in the other also being defensive. So you've just now created an energy field that is very unhealthy surrounding you, the other, and the situation. It's an evidence of separation. It requires someone to let down their guard and risk coming out into the open. So Gary in his book talks about overcoming the forces of conditioning, overcoming separation, overcoming misperception, overcoming competition, overcoming defensiveness, that are all interrelated and rooted deep in the recesses of the conditioned mind. So you are a spiritual being. You are whole. You are not your feelings. You are not your experience. Your sense of wholeness and well-being is not based on what is or isn't happening to you. You have the inner resources to appropriately deal with any type of conflict. When you're in conflict, embrace the person or situation. Allow it or them to be part of your experience to be here to serve, your experience to be here to love. There's no need to make the situation or the person wrong or to make them go away. Learn to embrace it. Learn to be with it. Value the relationship and the experience as an opportunity to grow in awareness and to discover your wholeness. Back to our tale of why we're here and what we're here to do. Your soul moves you towards challenges because they stretch you. They stretch you in ways that separate you from your falsehoods and from your defenses and from your dependencies. You are not your experiences. You are greater than your experiences. You are greater than your life's challenges. So in closing, this is also from the foreword of the book by John Babbs. If we are able to fully become the beings of light and love that we were meant to be, we will leave life on earth and the human family a little better for our having been here and for our having walked this journey for a brief moment during the expanse of eternity. Life will be better for our having been here. Life will inch a little closer to the divine ideal of love, harmony, and beauty because of our walk on this planet. And isn't that a great thing? That's why we're here. Everybody has a part. So that concludes my talk. I'd like to open it up to comments or questions before we close. Bruce, I know you've got something to say. I can see it in your face.
Well, one of the things that came up for me is which book did you, or books did you use to come up with what you were talking about?
So this is, everything is from Eye of the Storm,
okay,
which is the book that we're going to start next week at 9 a.m. Perfect plug, thank you. So the book has a ton of principles about embracing conflict and creating peace in your life. And this is just a small part of that. And so everything is from that book.
Yeah, that's great.
Randy?
Do we have any of those books here?
We do not have any of those books here, but they are available on Amazon. Yeah, and you can either download them to your Kindle or your reading. We are closed with that, and Bruce, I think you're up for our next song.
I am up for our next song along.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.